Hello, everyone, and welcome into B&T Sports Talk Show. I don't have my headphones on.
No, you don't.
B, you wanna start it off? Let me get this going.
What's going on, everyone? This is B with the B&T Sports Talk Show, and T is getting his headset set up here. So he is working through that at the moment right now. But we want to welcome everybody to the show. If this is your first time tuning in, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Watch some of our older videos here, as all we do is just talk sports, just two guys enjoying the sports world here. And tell your friends about it. Tell your family members about it. We are just two regular guys who love to talk sports here, and we love to have you guys interact with us. And we do interact with everybody who does join the chat as well. So don't be afraid to give a comment, give us your feelings about the game. Or if you just got something funny to say it. We always enjoy a good laugh here.
Right.
Generally, T will ask me how I'm doing, but I'm gonna turn this around to you, T. How you doing this Sunday night?
I'm good, man. I found my headphones, so that's a start. And then, man, just kind of trying to get through these football games, which are up to this point are a little bit ho-hum, which we'll get into. Not a lot going on, nothing exciting necessarily. No upsets yet. It's like the first round of the college football playoff, honestly.
Oh
And
God, we could talk about that too.
well,
Jesus,
we could talk.
please.
Yeah, well, actually, to be honest with you, I probably enjoyed the college games this past week much more than I did these playoff games. So far,
Yeah.
so far.
Before we talk about it though, we
Yeah.
were indulging about Squid Games because both you and I have now finished season 2.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how confusing and how diabolical this game is. And let me ask you this, T: if you were put in that position to win money, and we're probably going to spoil it for some people, but it is what it is. To win some money, but to also save your life, would you walk away after the first game knowing that it just gets harder and harder as the rounds go on?
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy for me. The moment that giant big doll head girl turned around and caught somebody off guard, or somebody tripped on a pebble, or farted or sneezed and got shot, that's when I would immediately understand that it's time for me to go home. Because I don't think they don't tell, like, the thing is, they don't tell them that they're going to die, right? They just tell them they're going to play games, right? They
Yeah,
leave that part out.
yeah,
And so the moment it gets real is when I need to go. It's like, okay, if I survive this,
I'm
I'm
done.
leaving. I'm not gonna stick around so that they could play some other game. Did you see the one where that? Well, no, we're gonna start give. We don't. I don't want to give it away, but
Yeah, but you know
there
what?
are a lot of weird
We've
games
come.
that they had to play, and it was really crazy that they would even go through with it up to the point that the show left off. It was insane.
Yeah, so we won't ruin it all here for you, but you guys check it out. Check it out. After the first game, and I see that everyone's getting pawned off like that. I'm like, you know what? Let's just take the cash, and get out of here.
Yeah.
Kind of value my life here in regards to that.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
But let's get to it here. First game of the weekend, of wild card weekend, because we just need so many games as NFL fans. First game we had were the Chargers visiting the Texans, and the Chargers actually walked into this game -3. They were favored into this game. Honestly, the Texans really limped into this game. They weren't doing anything really impressive throughout the season. And to me, I actually think they struggled throughout the season here. But man, the tables turned. Justin Herbert decided that he'd much rather throw to the Texans than to his own wide receivers. And when I tell you the points the Texans scored all came from their defense, it all came from the defense. Their offense didn't really do much in my mind because the defense really stepped up, and Justin Herbert said, you guys, I want 3 pick sixes, and he gave them pick sixes here. Give me, I know you watched the game here. Give me a little bit of your feedback in regards to that. Did the Texans just get lucky with how this game went with Justin Herbert?
Well, they certainly benefited from a pretty poor outing from Herbert, and Herbert's been put on a pedestal for a few years, at least previously, going into this season. And a lot of folks have been trying to put him in that next echelon where he is a Pro Bowl type quarterback. But you never know, right? It's like the old Tyson thing, you gotta plan until you get punched in the face. And generally what you're looking for from your quarterback is to be able to throw an interception and bounce back. Herbert did not do that. Herbert was throwing interception after interception after interception. He
Four
just he
times.
did not he did not have a good game at all. And to top it all off, the Chargers really, because they found themselves in somewhat of a hole, they did not play the way you would want a Harbaugh team to play. They did
Oh
not
no.
run the ball effectively. And because of that, now you're putting the ball in the hands of a very, a questionable Herbert here. Sherbert, we'll call him, because this, I don't know what to.
Because you know what? That's a good one. We're gonna call him Sherbert because he was
Sherbert.
about as soft as ice cream when it
And
came to this playoff game today.
I mean, McConkey, what a terrible name. The guy's name is Lad McConkey. Really? Lad
McConkey.
McConkey?
McConkey.
Who the hell? Why did they name him? Anyway, had the game of his life. Didn't really mean anything. He had one big touchdown, which ate up a lot of those yards. But of the 242 yards that Sherbert got off, 197 of them went to McConkey. That lets me know the Chargers need to go out and they need to find players with better names. We'll start there. But after they're done doing that, they need to go ahead and get them a primary go-to wide receiver, because that doesn't make any sense. And this just isn't a Jim Harbaugh way to play. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards combined for less than 50 yards in rushing. That is not a Jim Harbaugh team. And so they did not do the things they need to do. And give the Texans credit. Their defense was ready to play. Their defense did not let them run the ball. And they put some pressure on Herbert. They did a great job, I thought, of just really keeping this team held down. That offense wasn't getting anything. And so, yeah, good kudos to the Texans. Now, CJ, and I'll get your thoughts on it, B, but CJ Stroud last year really made a huge impression on us. Came in this season and kind of underperformed, if you will, or didn't perform up to what we thought. However, they did not have Dell, they did not have Diggs. What did you see in this game? And do you think the Texans, are they legit, or does this really feel more like the Chargers just pooped their pants and the Houston just happened to be there to take the win?
The Chargers sneeze, crap themselves, piss their pants at the same time, and did everything they wanted to do to lose this game. And it's not on purpose, but when you watch the game, the Chargers were in great field position almost every single time and proceeded to just give it away real quickly. But to CJ Stroud, you made very good points. Tank, not in the lineup. Diggs, not in the lineup. His primary target was Nico Collins. He had a really good game.
Yeah.
And I think Stroud kind of survived the first quarter. The first quarter, they looked really, really skittish in that there. And then they started turning it on right after that there. They were consistent, 10 points in the second, 10 points in the third, 12 in the fourth, most of it with the defense there. But CJ Stroud overall had a pretty well-balanced game for having minimal weapons here. Now, the big test is going to be going to Kansas City, and we'll preview that game in a little bit here. But they do get the Kansas City Chiefs here. I think this was a really good building block for CJ Stroud getting out of that there. Now, last year, they got out by beating the Browns. Then they get the pleasures of having to deal with the Baltimore Ravens. Same thing this year. They got to deal with the AFC West. They got done with the Chargers, and now they get the pleasures of going to Kansas City to face the Chiefs here. You got to have this kind of game here. You're going to have a balanced game in regards to that there. But yeah, man, it was a pretty decent game. 22 for 33, 282 yards.
Yeah.
The one interception early in the game, I believe that was in the first quarter. And then after that, a rating of 90.7. Not bad for a playoff performance here, especially after a really bad first quarter. So yeah. I give CJ Stroud that big step forward that he had with from last year going into this year. That's a big improvement for that there, because he had all his weapons last year. Didn't have all of them today or yesterday.
Joe Mixon. They had Joe Mixon.
That's it. Yeah. And Joe Mixon had 25 carries, 106 yards. Pretty solid day there.
Except for that fumble. Other than that, he was on point. But yeah, man, I'm with you, dude. I think the Chargers, this was a little bit more of a Charger fumble than the Houston Texans win, although they did take advantage of the opportunity that was presented to you, which is all you
Yes.
can do. We'll talk about matchups after we go through these games because I think there's some really cool things to talk about with
Oh,
some of these teams
The
as we
AFC
progress.
matchups in the division.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be
Woo!
fun. So let's jump into your team, man. And really, there isn't a whole lot to say, man, other than that, man. You want to talk about one team coming in on a high and the other one coming in as low as possible. The Steelers look like they were 55,000 years old coming into the game against the Ravens at home. The Ravens just ran them over. I mean, Derrick Henry got like 1,000 yards a carry, it felt like. Lamar, they started the game running like a RPO plays. Like Lamar was doing a lot of running to start the game off, and I think that really put the Steelers on their heels a little bit. And then once he got back in the pocket, he started throwing darts, hitting guys for touchdowns, and this was a really all around beat down. I
Yeah, it
believe it
was.
was 21-0 at halftime.
Yep.
This game was never really close, and there's a lot to talk. There's a lot to talk about on the Steelers end, but before we get to that, let's talk about Lamar Jackson. So this is your team, man. Lamar Jackson, how are you feeling about the acquisition of Derrick Henry right now? That's what I want
That's
to know.
this is the point why they got Derrick Henry. It's the whole reason. Derrick Henry, 26 carries, 186 yards, and had that long run for a touchdown as well. It takes the pressure off of Lamar to having to be the runner. Now they started the game how I wanted it to start, and that was Lamar being more of a runner here.
Yeah.
It set the tone early because it opened up the running game for Derrick Henry, but it also opened it up passing wise. He threw for 175 yards here, but it was an efficient 175. But you know why? Because the running game was efficient as well between the two.
Right.
So again, I have a hard time wanting to be like, yeah, we're making the turn
Yeah.
because we've seen this too many times. And so I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. Next week's matchup, huge matchup. But at the same time, it's like if they were to lose next week, I wouldn't be shocked. Like
Oh man, B, have
that's
some
just how
faith,
much
brother.
tour I have faith. And don't get me wrong, if they could go in there and do it, I'd be more than ecstatic here. But they've also had some really bad playoff losses
Yeah.
to the Tennessee Titans, to the San Diego Chargers during that time in Lamar's
Yeah, that
rookie
was bad.
year.
I remember that.
There have been some really bad playoff losses in Lamar's tenure as a Ravens quarterback. So great win. I thought this game would be a lot closer because it was a divisional game. The Steelers were like,
Right.
"Oh, let me one up what the Chargers did today," and they literally regurgitated all over themselves the entire game. I think at one point, Derrick Henry had more first downs than the Steelers' entire offense in the first
Yes.
half.
Yes.
Like that's a disgusting stat
We
to even see.
we gotta talk about that, man. The Steelers were at one point in the season were on a high, and they were sitting atop the AFC North, and they just completely coughed that thing up down the stretch. And they really
They
had
sure did.
they slid all the way down into the playoffs and continue with the same abysmal play in the first game in the first wild card game. I mean,
Yep.
look, the bottom line, a lot of the questions I have is one, this they found themselves behind so quickly. They couldn't even run the ball. And then you have an aging Russell Wilson that you're depending on to try to get you back into the game. Which I'll give them effort for putting up 14 points because they did do that. And the Ravens in second halves, especially when they're up, they usually are not the best team. They'll let you get there. They'll let you come back. You might not win, but they'll let you come back.
Yeah.
But the Steelers just don't have enough. You got to start asking the question. This Steelers team has some talent on both sides of the ball. What happened? It maybe we can talk. We'll talk about this maybe more in the off season as we get into some of the other conversations when the season's over. But are we getting to a point to where your boy Tomlin's starting to lose these guys a little bit, or is this just another Russell Wilson problem where you need to get a quarterback or a young quarterback or somebody in there that can actually wing that thing around and create some offense for you because George Pickens ain't it, not right now. He's a great player, but you're gonna need if you're looking to win now, they need a receiver again. They need a wide receiver that's possession receiver that can get them first downs.
You know, Well, they have a young quarterback in there, Justin Fields.
You're right.
And
You're
with
right.
Justin Fields started the season undefeated. He won his first 3 games.
That's true.
And then and then they made the change to Russell Wilson as soon as he was healthy. I guess the question is do you keep Russell Wilson or do you move on to Justin Fields? This is no different from Atlanta's situation where they had Michael Penix, although the only difference is they drafted a quarterback. You had Michael Penix and you have Kirk Cousins, right? And guess what the Falcons are doing? They're moving on to Michael Penix here.
Yeah, they
I
should.
see the Steelers doing the exact same thing and moving on and going to Justin Fields here. I think there was a lot of upside with Justin Fields when the season started. And it was almost to the point where it was like, maybe you just let this ride until maybe one of the wheels fall off. Not all the wheels, but at least let one of the tires blow out. And then you have Russell Wilson ready to go. They decided to just, hey, Russell, come bring it back. They ended this season on a 4-game losing streak
Yeah,
going
it
into the
was bad.
playoffs.
Bad.
And if you want to look at it, 5, including the game yesterday, that's not a Mike Tomlin team here. I think next year that seat's a little warm. To be honest with you, I don't think they'll warm it though. They'll look at it right now, but I think it may get a little warm next year if they kind of have the same season as they did this year.
Yeah, that Russell Wilson contract is looming heavy, isn't it? These teams keep trading this guy around because you got to figure out a way to pay him, right? The Broncos did
Yeah,
it where they paid him the what was it like 200 million or whatever the heck the contract was, and now he's on this team. And although there's been some bright spots, we all know he's not the same guy that he once was, and the offense that's around him is definitely not skilled enough to
no,
win a championship. So the Steelers do have a little bit of thinking to do. But meanwhile, the Ravens will be moving on as they should. They got the job done like everyone in the world thought that they would, and they're on to the next round.
you know what the worst part is they were 9-point favorites, and I found that even disrespectful to the Steelers in a rivalry game. And I guess they were right
Yeah,
about
but they
that.
beat them so bad the last time that they played them, and it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe four games ago.
It was a month ago.
Yeah, a
It was a
month
month
ago, about
ago
a month
when that
ago.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they beat the brakes off of them. Then they come back and they repeat. I mean, it didn't seem like the Steelers didn't have a real game plan coming in to counter any of what they saw the last time they got their butts kicked. So they just bent over and took another one. So that's the end.
They
That's the
they
end of it.
they P
Pause.
Diddy that
Pause.
thing there.
Pause. Pause. Um,
Well, let's look at the Steelers' last 4 games if we're going into the playoffs here. They were at the Eagles, they were at the Ravens, they then the Chiefs, and then the Bengals.
yeah,
Like
those are tough
unbelievable.
games.
It was unreal, man.
Those are tough games.
So,
Well,
oh well,
well,
too
that's
bad they're going
they're
home.
going home. They're going home. They're going to Cancun. Moving on to the next game, also a dud, but expected. The Broncos and Bo Nix came out. And they had a little gumption to start, but man, after that, boy, did they get railroaded. This thing ended 31-7. Kind of what most folks anticipated coming in. I guess the only difference was I thought their 7 points would have been in the third and the fourth quarter, and instead they had it on the first drive of the game. That's the only thing that changed. I mean, this was a beat down. And it should have been. I mean, the Broncos have been in the playoffs for almost 20 years. They come in, they give themselves an opportunity. Well, no, not 20. I'm sorry. Like was it 10, 12, something like that. They they
Yeah,
they they come in. They got a rookie quarterback. They overachieved. Just them being in the playoffs, I think this is a win for them with a rookie quarterback to have an opportunity to play in the playoffs and compete in the division that they did. This is a win for the Broncos. But nobody expected them to win, and they did not. B, did you get a chance to see the game? Wasn't a whole
I
lot to
did.
see, but what did you think?
Well, I was all excited when they had that home run bomb in the first
Yeah, I
quarter,
was a
one
big
of the
player. I was
first.
like, oh, we
I
got a
was like, oh,
game.
okay.
We got
I
a
said Denver
game.
coming up to show up and show out, and then they just crapped out right after that, man.
It
It's
was the missed
like
field goal. The missed field goal set
what?
it off.
Yeah, that's what set it off there here. I mean, technically it did because if they get the field goal, it's 10-10
Right,
going into the half here. So you feel a little more confident with yourself. And then Buffalo just comes out and just says, "All right, we're done screwing around,"
right,
just
right.
and just absolutely train wrecked the Denver Broncos here. But honestly, look, I thought Bo Nix would have a little more confidence going into this game, but that rookie pressure really showed up in the game here. He was just getting pressured all
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Couldn't really feel comfortable in the pocket. Had some chances at getting first downs and could not make a throw. Some of his throws were even short to
Yeah.
some of his receivers as well. So, this is a good spotlight for the Denver Broncos. Though we did not expect them to be in the playoffs at all. So getting that taste there, I think, should help kind of get yourself a little more movement into the next season here. I still think they need another wide receiver because outside of Cortland Sutton, there's nothing after that.
Yeah.
They're kind of like with Pittsburgh.
We've
You
been
have
talking a
George.
lot about wide receivers, right? Like a lot of
Yep,
teams are in need of a wide receiver right now.
exactly. And so, you have a guy like George Pickens with Pittsburgh, but after that, Calvin Austin the third really doesn't, move the radar.
Yeah.
Same thing with Denver. You have Cortland Sutton,
And
and then after
Mims,
that,
maybe
it's
Mims.
maybe Mims, but Mims really didn't have that great of a game either.
No.
So and then he fumbled, which didn't help him either on a punt. So
Yeah.
it's just that's a young team.
Yeah.
Sean Payton has a lot to look forward to here, but hey, Buffalo was 8-0 at home for a reason, and that was it right there.
Yep, yep, they certainly were, and they are moving on. Let's move on to the next game, which was, this had a lot of the feel of the Chargers Texans game, in my opinion. That's the Packers and the Eagles game. This game didn't really jump off the press, and there were a lot of mistakes made by the Packers. Jordan Love had some issues with throwing the ball to his team. He threw three interceptions, similar to what we saw with Sherbert. He just didn't really he didn't really tilt the needle in a positive way for his team. They had some opportunities. They had some interceptions happen when they were in a position to or were moving the ball. And they just kept taking it's almost like the Green Bay was doing everything they could to deflate their own sail. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
They just deflated drive after drive after drive. Then they start getting injury after injury, and it culminated into a 22-10 win for the Eagles. Now, don't get me wrong, the Eagles didn't really do
They didn't
anything
do much.
special.
No.
I was not impressed by what the Eagles were doing necessarily, and wasn't really impressed with Jalen Hurts had an okay game. Saquon Barkley has been the engine for their offense, and he continued to be that today. Their defense, I thought, played fairly well, but those interceptions, some of them, if they were not interceptions, would at least have been field goals or plays that could have led to scoring drives for Green Bay. So it's hard to tell. Not really impressed by Philly in this game, and really thought Green Bay just squandered an opportunity. B.
Yeah, they did. Because they had every opportunity here to win, and now they were out some very key players.
Yeah.
Obviously Romeo Dobbs.
He got hurt. Yeah.
He got hurt, dude. It felt like almost every other possession a Green Bay player was hurt.
Yeah.
It really just felt like that. Like there were more TV timeouts for injuries than there were for actual timeouts
Right.
in the game here.
Commercials.
Exactly. So Jordan Love really, really didn't have much to throw with. I thought he would use his legs a little more. He only carried it 2 times for 10 yards. So you would have figured he would have kind of made himself more of a dual threat just to take the ease off of that there. But there were some monster plays in this game. Let's talk with Dallas Goddard.
Yes, with the touchdown run or
With
the
a
catch and run.
stiff
Yes,
arm, he
that
just
was.
slapped that boy
I
twice.
mean, to get beat up twice going down the field that's crazy. He's like one, nope, two, nope, touchdown.
Nope.
And
then he gets the unsportsmanlike conduct or the taunting penalty.
Yeah.
I thought that was worth it though. You know what?
Yeah.
That defender had no business tackling you. He had every opportunity to try, and he just failed after that. And then the Josh Jacobs run to kind of put them back into the game. That was one of the meanest runs in the playoffs so far. Guys were pulling on his dry fit. He was shaking loose. Too bad he didn't see. I mean, he scored on the play. Even the touchdown run was physical as all hell. Like he was determined to try to bring him back. And then Jordan Love said, I'll take the ball and throw an interception here. I had my sister over watching the game with me too, and she goes, the final possession, she goes, I bet you Jordan Love throws an interception. What does he do?
Yeah.
Threw it right in the end zone for an interception.
It's just he's got to work on that, and hopefully he's a young player, so he can only get better. But again, this game did not impress me on either side of this ball. I'm not looking at the Eagles in the next round and going, yeah, the Eagles, man, you better look out. No, there was nothing that impressive the Eagles did. We'll see how they do in their next game, where they were more than likely, well, they will be on the road. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that
Actually,
plays
no,
out.
they won't.
Were they the
Honestly,
2 seed?
they're
No.
the 2 seed. So this game
Oh,
really
that's right, because of
determines
the Vikings. That's I keep
yeah,
forgetting the Vikings are in the same.
the
See,
most
we gotta
most
fix that.
disrespectful thing.
We gotta fix that, right? We gotta fix that. The Vikings were
I
only lost
told
two
you
games, man. They only, or excuse me,
three,
three,
three.
three games. But they were the better team. It seemed like throughout the year. But man, all right. Well, Vikings in
That
Philly. Hopefully this will be a
made
game.
well no. So the lowest remaining seed will play the Lions. So right now
That would be
you
the
have the Commanders and the
Bucks.
Bucks.
Yeah,
So if the Commanders win, they will automatically play the Lions, and then
yeah,
the winner of the 4-5 game will go to Philadelphia here. But if the Buccaneers do win, then it's the Eagles and Bucks, and then the winner of the Rams Vikings games will go to Detroit there. So this game is interesting. Right now, Washington is up 13-10. um this is the most entertaining game so far, to be
yeah,
honest with you.
yeah.
Like it's been back and forth pretty good.
It definitely has been. Definitely has been. So do you what we want to do? You want to jump into? You want to talk about a little bracket setup here? Or do we want to get into
let's
some college
let's
football, or what we want
let's
to hit?
talk divisional football right now, man,
So
because the AFC set all the top four are all going to play each other. So
so here we go. So the I don't know why they haven't filled them in yet, but the lowest seed is going to play the Kansas City Chiefs, which will be the Houston Texans. So the Texans are
yes.
going to go to Kansas City and against the Chiefs, who lost their second game because they decided not to even play their starters that last game. They have 2 additional weeks to rest their starters. So we're talking to guys like Isaiah Pacheco, another week for Hollywood Brown to get on board with what they're doing
Patrick
offensively.
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, who had the ankle or foot or ankle injury, to recover from that. So we're anticipating this to be about as healthy as we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs all year in this first game of the playoffs when they take on the Texans. Look, man, I gotta be honest with you. Um, I don't see Houston winning this game. I think that I think Kansas City is gonna definitely have the upper hand because they're playing at home. It's gonna be cold. We don't know what the weather's gonna look like. Houston is missing a lot of their main stars, especially on the offensive end of the ball. And Kansas City's defense has been the best defense in the league all year. I see this being a situation where KC wins this one going away, and we might be looking at another 31-10 blowout type of situation here.
I honestly do not see that happening. I think this game is going to be a lot closer
Oh
than we project here, because let's be honest, the Chiefs are the most luckiest 15-2 team that we've seen all year. How many times have they had an opportunity? Well, they should have lost, but had a stroke of luck happen, right? The Denver game, missed field goal,
yeah, the
timely
Raider
penalties,
game,
to say the least. The
bump,
Raider game as
stupid
well.
fumble, face fumble, face
That's what I'm
fumble.
saying.
Yeah,
And so when you look at the Texans here, the Texans can literally I think they can hang with Kansas City. And we've talked about it all year. Kansas City just didn't do anything that really moved the meter all year. Right now, granted their offense was clicking as the later the season went on,
yeah,
and they started blowing teams out later in the year. But 2 weeks off, right? No, very minimum contacts. You don't want guys getting hurt prior to playoffs, so your practices aren't physical. Houston runs right into this game fresh. Having the high, beating the Chargers here, getting a chance to go on the road and play spoiler. I think they make this game a lot more competitive than what people are going to think it is.
yeah. Well, I certainly hope so, B. It's just in my mind, man, that defense hasn't given up more than 20 points all year, man.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
That means that the Texans would have to hold KC to under 20 points for the whole game if they want to win this game. And I just feel like that's a lot to ask of this Houston team, especially if they're playing on the road, at 20 degrees or whatever it is. Remember, this is the Houston Texans we're talking about. So it's like I don't that those only things kind of give me a little pause, but I'm with you. I hope it is a good, more competitive game. I would love to see a shootout between a young CJ Stroud and Pat Mahomes, but I feel like the way these two teams play, this is going to be more of a defensive struggle to start. And if the Chiefs have any amount of offense going for them, it could get bad. It could get ugly quick.
Yeah, and the last time, they played each other back on December 21st in Kansas City, and the Texans lost 27-19 to the team, but it's the playoffs, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
as long
it's
as
one game. Yeah.
It's one game and one turnover, and we saw Houston take advantage of a lot of turnovers here. Right now, Kansas City is -7.5 favorites. That's the line that is opening here. Being the dumb gambler that I am, I would take
those
the Texans. I take those odds. Give me the Texans with that.
Boy,
I like that +7.5.
All right.
And I think what's going to trouble them the most is the Texans do have a mobile quarterback. And I think CJ Stroud may put a little more into it with running the ball. The only thing they're going to need is more contribution from the wide receiver route, because Nico Collins is going to be blanketed by is it McKinney? Who's their top?
They're McDuffie.
McDuffie.
Yeah.
He's going to be blanketed by McDuffie here. So someone's going to have to step up in here. I expect Dalton Schultz to also have a pretty big game against Kansas City. You really didn't hear from him much in the wild card game yesterday. So I do expect a little more of a bigger call for Dalton Schultz in this game, just for the fact that Nico Collins will be eliminated.
Yeah.
But I also expect Nico Collins to at least get 100 yards in this game here. So
man, we will see. We will see. Oh, hey man, this game here though. I mean,
don't ruin it for me. Baker Mayfield, it's 2nd and goal right now.
No, they didn't get it this time. They're getting closer. They got
they used the defensive lineman Via. He's
it didn't work. They didn't fall for it.
They tried.
Did not fall for it.
Oh, speaking of trick plays, can we give Denver credit for a fake punt in that game?
Yeah, they got it. Yeah.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, that's all. It showed up.
I just wanted to give them the credit. I was kind of shocked by that. I was like, oh.
There it is. There it is. Touchdown. Tampa Bay is up 17-13 over the Washington Commanders. We'll see how.
Hold on, 16-13.
16-13. That's right.
Can't trust the kicker
right now. You
can't
trust the kick no more. I keep forgetting that. Point afters are not regular. All right.
They're not for the faint of heart.
No, man.
Before we talk about the other matchup, can we talk about how easy they make a 50-yard field goal look, right? Like, kickers are just nailing that left and right.
Yeah.
But come the extra point, it is wide right. It is wide left, or it is off the goalpost. It's like, you know what? Just make the PAT 50 yards out.
Yeah, man. The kicking this year in general has been all over the place. I will say that the kickers certainly aren't as accurate as they used to be, for sure.
Let's see. Okay, this one's down the middle. Okay, you got it. Remember, I'm behind you, so I think I'm like 30 seconds.
I'm sorry. I got it. You got the delay going on.
That's all good.
So this next game is this is going to be the game of the weekend, by far, in my opinion. The Baltimore Ravens are going to go to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. This game is it. We're talking about two possible MVPs here between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. We're talking about the top one. I think he number 2 this year. Derrick Henry was number 2 behind Saquon Barkley. Top of the rushing. Rushing in the NFL. 2 of the better defenses I think you'll see. But man, this game is for all the marbles. And I think this is really going to catapult either one of these two quarterbacks. One of these two quarterbacks is going to be pushed into the next stratosphere with this game.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out who is and who ain't real quick because there's been a lot of talk about Josh Allen. Don't think that Lamar Jackson has noticed that. There's always been talk about Lamar Jackson taking that next step and not being able to get over the hump. And man, this game, like I said, this is really going to be a game where we get to really pinpoint which one of these guys is the truth. And I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be a great game.
I'm so excited for this game. And when you look, let's talk quarterbacks here. That's obviously the first thing we'll talk about.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson threw for 4,172 yards. Josh Allen threw for 3,731. Lamar had 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions to Josh Allen. I'll be the first one to tell you, I've been rooting for Josh Allen to win MVP just for the matter of the fact that, he lost half of his defense, lost his star wide receiver, wasn't really looking too good, and ended up just blowing through the AFC East. Little do we know that the AFC East was going to suck. Well, then here comes Lamar Jackson with better numbers. And yet we talked, I even am guilty for this. I talked more about Josh Allen winning the MVP compared to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And now we're going to find out who is going to be the real MVP in this game here. Both quarterbacks love to run the ball. Josh Allen is a physical runner as well. Lamar Jackson's a physical runner. Like, this game is going to be an offensive shootout in my mind. I don't think the defenses are really going to have answers for these two quarterbacks in this game. So it's going to be whoever doesn't score first, or whoever doesn't score owning their possession.
Yeah.
Because points are going to be at an all-time high in this game. And then you got Derrick Henry, right? Just a massive runner. James Cook had a really solid year, just broke the 1,000-yard mark. Derrick Henry had 1,900. Both running backs had 16 touchdowns each.
Yeah.
Like, this is a playoff game that you want to ask for here. This is an AFC championship game. But yet we get this in the divisional round. And man, I am so pumped for this game. This is about as good as it gets if you're not playing Kansas City.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. This is going to be a heck of a game. So much on the line and so much to prove for both of these teams. Dude, I gotta be honest with you here, and I don't want to go out on.
You're taking Buffalo, aren't you?
No. I think the Ravens get it done. And here's why. I think Buffalo is a great team, and I think they've proven most of this season that they can beat anyone, anytime, anywhere. But I just feel like Lamar Jackson has something to prove. Like the Buffalo Bills have been getting a lot of showers and positivity and Josh Allen and such a great team and they did this but here are the Ravens, always chugging along in the playoffs every year, always right there at the cusp of being in that AFC Championship game and just not getting that opportunity to get to the Super Bowl or get to that next step. And I think they've got a little bit more to prove. They've got more of a chip on their shoulder than the Buffalo Bills do at this point. Not to say the Bills don't, but I just feel like the Ravens really have something to prove going into this game, especially with them being a dog. They're probably going to be an underdog going into this game.
-1. The Ravens are +1 going into this game. That's what the line's opening up at.
Right. So it's going to be, everybody is anticipated to be a close game, but they're going to come in at least with the underdog mentality. And I think that's going to bode well for them. I think they're going to come in looking to crack skulls. And I really think that Lamar Jackson, no matter how good you think your defense is or what you're doing will be, there really isn't a great answer for him. It's really about what he decides to do with the ball. And we saw it against the Steelers, right? I'm going to run. I'm going to force you to play me in the running game. And then after that, okay, cool. Now I'm going to back off, hand it off to Derrick Henry. Now he's going to run you over. And if you decide you want to sneak into the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna throw it right over your head for 2 touchdowns in the end zone, like he did in this game. They had when focused and when they have the right set of circumstances, the Ravens have the best offense with Derrick Henry in the game, and so you got to respect that. The question is, whose defense is good enough to at least keep the other's offense at bay? Can you at least hold them to field goals? I think that's what it's going to come down to. Whose defense can get the other team to settle for a field goal instead of getting a touchdown? And we'll see. And I think based on that alone, that's where we'll get our winner from, is who can execute offensively and whose defense can at least slow the other team's offense down.
So here's where I'm going to say, because I know I said that the Lamar needed to run more, which he did, and I think it's going to be the complete opposite of this year. I think they start the game very, very Derrick Henry heavy
Yeah,
with
they
that
may.
there.
Yeah.
And so when you, oh my God, when you, the dude, oh, that's postseason. Okay, I really don't care too much about that there. I'm trying to pull up the defensive stats for Buffalo here on how they ranked against the run, because honestly, there were teams that had big running games against them.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Team statistics. Let's get the full complete breakdown here. The Buffalo Bills defense ranked, what do you think, top 10?
I mean, if I had to guess, I would say they at least be at the bottom half of the top 10.
Actually, nope, they're nowhere near it. The Buffalo Bills are in the middle of the pack there.
Oh boy.
Yeah, who would have thought,
15th,
right?
16th, something like that.
Right around there. They're rushing. They allow 115 yards a game
Oh,
during the regular season here.
okay.
Um,
That's a problem.
that's going to be a problem, especially
Yeah.
when you have Derrick Henry,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to pick one or two here. And that's why the reason why the Ravens brought Derrick Henry here was to make defenses want to pick and choose who you want to stop here. But we'll see how this goes here. Dude, this is a great matchup. Like this is a matchup we are all excited for here.
Yeah, man.
No one's going to care about the Texans and the Chiefs.
No, they're not. They're not. And by the way, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Ravens are going to be missing Zay Flowers for the remainder of the playoffs.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But Rashard Bateman is having a very big year as well.
Yeah,
And no one talks about that.
Yeah. No, I agree, man.
But I think the double tight end between Likely and Mark Andrews, again, I think this will be
he's been on a tear. He's been playing. He's turned the clock back a little bit.
He sure has. So that's why I think, with the Texans as well, having Dalton Schultz, this is another game where the tight ends will be a big factor as well with Likely and Andrews. So you got to give the favor to Baltimore having those two tight ends as well. But again, it's very hard to be optimistic knowing your team's playoff history over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really trying to be really excited for this, but it's like, man, these are the kind of games that Lamar has been waiting for and never showed up.
Yeah.
And so we'll find out on either Saturday or Sunday what Lamar Jackson we get and if he's taking that next step.
Yeah, man, it's really exciting. I can't wait to see it. So I'm very juiced to see how this turns out. Well, let's head over to the other side and let's take a look. Now, all of this hasn't been sorted out quite yet. We don't know if Detroit is going to play the Washington Commanders because the game is still going and the Commanders are actually moving the ball right now down the field. Tampa Bay scored a touchdown the previous possession. You saw that catch?
Or is that TJ or is that Scary Terry? McLaurin?
Yeah.
McLaurin's having a big game right now. Big game.
Never mind.
Oh,
sorry,
don't
man.
Bring it back. Yeah, there was a flag.
Back. The eligible man downfield. Sorry. I hope I didn't ruin it
for you. Fat boy got too far downfield.
fat boy downfield. Yeah, man. So I think as far as I'm concerned, Detroit, no matter who they play, I feel like, well, actually, I would love to see them play Minnesota if it turns out to be that way.
Round 3? Let's get a round 3.
Let's do that. But if Washington goes into that slot against Detroit has two. That's what I like about Detroit. Detroit is not playing. They haven't played all season like a front runner. They've been this gritty nobody cares about us bunch ever since they started getting good. And I think they're going to continue that same attitude throughout the playoffs, playing at home in a city that is desperate for some winning. I mean, the Detroit Pistons are garbage. Actually, no, they've been playing better.
They're not having a bad season right now. They're not having a bad season.
They're doing better than people thought that they would. The Detroit Lions did not. They've shown that it was not a fluke what happened last year. They are legit. And Jared Goff has been one of the most efficient passers this season. And so I think they're going to come in and they are going to destroy Washington if Washington shows up in that spot. And even if Minnesota shows up, I think the game will be good. But I still think Minnesota will lose to the Detroit Lions. Best case scenario here, Um, is
What
the
kind of
best case
pass
scenario is that
was
we get
that?
Minnesota lined up with Detroit in the first round.
See,
That
and that's
happened.
just where it's like, yeah, come on, man. Minnesota and Detroit had to beat each other up this year. So, the records are just a game off from each other.
Yeah, Jada.
And they're going to play each other in the divisional round. That's not a divisional round matchup, man.
Yeah,
Like, that's where they need to fix it. They should be the number 2 seed. Minnesota should have been that number 2 seed.
yeah, agreed. And
But
Philly, I don't know. I mean, let's say that Philly gets Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wins. Uh,
I think Tampa Bay goes in and beats Philly.
I love it because honestly, Tampa Bay is one of those teams you don't know what you're going to get from them anyway, and they kind of play with their quarterback's attitude. Man, the Baker Mayfield is just he's a professional, but he is a straight dog, and he's always kind of operating from that position of I'm the guy that should be playing this position because I'm just some regular looking short dude that showed up for practice. But yeah,
You
so
know what? And they need to put respect on Baker Mayfield's
they
name because
do. No, he can sling the
he
ball.
he's not only that, but man, that any quarterback that starts with the Browns never really finishes his NFL career, right?
True
He's
that.
resurrected that career after leaving Cleveland, went over to the Rams, jump started there, or then the Panthers. He was with the Panthers as well.
Yes.
And he did, and since then he has
That's
gotten
how he
better and
revived
better.
himself by getting an
Yes,
opportunity there, and he brought himself back. But no, I agree with you, man. I think Philly could fall off if they play Tampa Bay. Now, if Washington wins, then they
oh,
would
oh, oh,
play.
oh. He said, what we doing after the game, man? We going to eat?
I don't know what happened
Sorry,
there.
I got
Fight,
excited because people were
fight,
about to fight. My
fight.
bad. I
if
lost my marbles for
if
that.
if Washington wins and plays Detroit, then the Philly would then play Minnesota. That's if Minnesota wins against the Rams, of course, if the Rams end up winning, then the Rams would play Philly. Do you like either one of those matchups for Philly? I mean, if they can't beat the
I
Bucks,
don't.
they gonna
I
beat the
don't.
Rams or Minnesota?
I don't. And the only reason I think they're more favorable against the Rams, but the offense today really stalled out.
Yeah, it did.
That's the reason why if Jordan Love had any sort of a decent game, I think the Packers win this game today. But the fact that the Eagles offense stuttered and looked very bad for 2 quarters, it's leading to question here because look at what the Buccaneers are doing right now. They're going down the field. You get a team like Minnesota as well. That's a team
Yeah,
that puts up points.
points. Yeah,
Yep. And so you got to, the Green Bay Packers didn't take advantage of the slowdown from the Eagles, but any one of these teams, the 4 teams that played that would play against them, nope, they don't stand a chance.
yeah.
Don't stand a chance.
So I think we both agree Philly is just not it, and I don't think we see them moving forward after this next round. We could be
No,
wrong. Detroit, I feel like wherever they end up playing has a chance to move forward. However, it will be a lot more interesting if Tampa Bay wins and we see Minnesota playing
I'm
Detroit.
going to be honest. I think Detroit's going to just be a sure lock to get to the Super Bowl. They've got that home
Okay.
crowd.
Yeah.
That home field is just like you said, they are itching to
Yes.
blow the roof off that thing. No pun intended, but they are really really juiced for this, and it kind of led into the last game of the year against the Vikings. That atmosphere there was tremendous from the Detroit Lions.
All right. So can we put a prop bet out there? So Detroit Lions, if they make it to the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
Eminem will be a part of the halftime show.
No, that's not even a question. Him and Kendrick Lamar working on a song right now to prepare for that.
Right.
They are getting ready for that. Dude, imagine a Kendrick Eminem collab.
Oh,
Oh
with
my
Detroit there?
god.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be great.
Holy.
That'd be great. Give us something to watch. It'd be the first time I'd actually watch a halftime show. It'd be the first time I actually sat through. I mean, the Usher thing, I didn't sit through all of that. I gotta be honest with you.
I sat through it, dude. It was
Yeah,
good.
man,
That was nostalgic for me.
50-year-old
Better
man.
than watching Madonna.
Oh, well, what with a cane trying to move her? She's. I mean,
Oh god.
that's not
Pregnant
that's not
ass
fun at
Rihanna.
all. That was
No.
dumb. That was dumb. And it's nothing against Rihanna.
It's
But
not.
we don't
No.
want to see a pregnant Rihanna on stage trying to dance. Nobody wants to see that. And it's just because, first off, I'm scared she's going to fall. I thought something would happen to her. I mean,
Thank God nothing did.
she should go home and just chill, make babies and keep making her billions of dollars.
Right? Who would have thought?
I don't
Who
know.
would have thought?
She's like, I don't even need to sing anymore. So let's take a little time. Let's take a little bit of time to cover some of the. We got some time for college football.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. Or we could talk about how Antonio Pierce got axed.
Oh, the coaches. Oh God. So I told you, right? I told you. You said I don't think they're gonna get rid of him, and I asked you. I said, "Have you seen Mark Davis, and have you seen his haircut?" That's all you need to know about what the Raiders will do going forward. But no, seriously, I think the reason that they got rid of AP is because there are going to be some really good offensive and defensive coordinators coming down the pipeline, and that will be really good candidates for head coaches. And I think a lot of those guys have a little bit more of a coaching pedigree than what they saw with AP. Now, the question still remains, that's great. You go get a nice, shiny new coach. What's he going to do with the rest of the roster? Who are you drafting? Are you going to do better in the draft? You think I enjoyed watching the Texans with Danico Autry and Mario Edwards Jr., both players who were with the Raiders, tearing it up on their team and looking like all-star, pro players? No. It just goes to show that the Raiders don't know what the hell they're doing, and they keep squandering opportunities to build a team that lasts. So we'll see if they can do something different, I guess. But even if they get a good coach in there, they better give that fool all the power. And let's not also skip over the fact that I believe they also fired their general manager as well.
Yes.
So they cleaned house. So it's gonna be all new people, all new everything. Mark Davis, please don't say anything and let these guys operate for at least 5 years. That's all I'm saying. You're not winning the Super Bowl next year, so don't bother trying to bring in some old quarterback who you think is going to help you make the playoff. Just forget it. I know they need something to show in Vegas, but at this point they just got to retool, and I'm hoping this is a good thing. You replace your GM, you replace the head coach. You're going to have some new blood in there. Start everything over. Get a new quarterback. Go into the draft trying to get the best talent you can. You've already got your tight end. Get a wide receiver. Try to draft a quarterback or find somebody as a stopgap. Whatever you need to do, just figure it out.
I'm trying to figure out how Mike McCarthy avoided.
Oh my God! They were discussing an extension with the idiot. I mean, I keep calling me idiot. I can't. That's not nice.
That's why you play defense, you big dummy.
I missed it.
He almost had it. The defense almost had his interception. Washington's knocking on the door. Like, don't let it hit you in the hand, loser. Anyways, as I got off track, how did Mike McCarthy keep his job on Monday? That's amazing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. How
at least the Jags fired Doug Peterson. Thank God.
Well, I mean, we talked about this during the season. Who the hell is Jaden Daniels is struggling with some of these throws, bro. I'm trying to understand where he's going with the ball on some of these. But that one wasn't it. Jaden Daniels in the red zone looking for a wide receiver.
He was looking for Zach Ertz and threw it into double coverage.
Yeah.
What the hell?
What I loved about that is, I know folks if you're watching the game, is one of the defensive players for the Tampa Bay Bucks went and tapped him on the head and said thank you. Went over to the sideline. Because that was a fourth down. Now the Bucks have the ball on the other side. But getting back to fired coaches, yes. Peterson should have been fired in London. He should have stayed for a vacation in London for the remainder of the NFL season. I have no idea why he stayed as long as he did. I guess we could say kudos to the Jaguars franchise for not just axing him right then and there, but they should have got rid of him.
Yeah, well, who knows what's going to happen now? So we'll see. Everyone's getting opportunities to interview everybody now. But we'll see how that coaching carousel plays out here. But at least one of the coaches, I guess, got fired. The second one didn't get axed either.
Yeah, well, we'll see, man. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
You are so excited to talk some college football, which
I
I
know,
am
right?
very
It's crazy.
juiced for. So let's
Crazy.
talk about it
Let's
here.
talk about it. Man, these were actually much better games than what we saw the previous week. The Notre Dame Penn State game was just a riot. Great game overall. Bad interception late in the game, which led to an
Oh, where was he
opportunity
throwing that thing
for,
to?
I don't know what that was. It was tied 24-24.
Just
You
take the
did
sack
not
and punt
need,
the ball.
thank you, going to overtime. But
Yeah.
instead, he tried to make a play, turned into an interception, which turned into a field goal, and Notre Dame goes riding off into the national championship game. A great game overall. However, that was not the biggest play of the weekend. Did you
No.
see the sack, fumble, pick, and recovery and score by
Yep.
Ohio State against Texas, which really at that point ended the game? It was 14-21 at the time. Texas had an opportunity to, they were on the door. They were moving the ball. They had an opportunity to tie that game up. And man, that play right there was some straight up JJ Watt type boom, slap, bow, touchdown out of nowhere. That was a crazy, crazy play the way that worked out. That had to be one of the most sensational like football plays I've seen in quite a while, outside of JJ Watt straight snatching the ball out of a quarterback's hand and running the other way. I mean, that was pretty good, man. That was a good game.
I would say if there were two plays that were the most exciting, I think the strip sack return for a touchdown was probably the most exciting one there. And you know, I tell people this all the time. I love the NFL, but man, there's just nothing like college football in the atmosphere. You have to be in the building to experience it here. Like watching the Rose Bowl, right? The most beautiful setting on New Year's Day. You've got the hills, you've got the sunset, the field, the pageantry, all of that there, and it just means more because it should be mostly about the school. Nowadays, it's about your NILs, but you know, that excitement, Notre Dame, Penn State, just 100 years of football between the two schools, and they delivered that game for us here. That was very, very exciting to watch. And then obviously you get Texas and Ohio State, just powerhouses, that you get. And now we're getting Notre Dame and Ohio State on, it looks like January 20th at 4:30. Ohio State 8.5-point favorites. And remember we talked about the whole Kirk Herbstreit and Shannon Sharp thing?
Yeah.
That's why Kirk Herbstreit does college football. Shannon Sharp doesn't.
No, he does.
He was calling for the Ohio State coach to get fired, right? And now the Ohio State coach is one win away from being a national championship. After getting beat by Michigan, not playing in their Big Ten championship, now they're on the verge of winning everything here.
Absolutely. Can we also point to this? And I know some folks out there, they don't want to hear about this, but it's the truth here. This is the first time in 150 years of college football that there is a African American coach playing in the championship game for Notre Dame, which is freaking ridiculous, by the way. But still, that's the absolute truth. So kudos to why did I lose the guy's name? What's the coach's name?
I'm blanking.
The guy looks like Tiger Woods. Here, let me look for you. It's like
the guy that looks like Tiger Woods. That's a good one.
Oh no! Oh, did they just turn the ball over? Uh-oh.
Oh, they sure did.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Baker Mayfield, you big dummy.
Baker Mayfield turns the ball over, and the Washington gets the ball back right where they left off, just about. Oh, and he fumbles, and it gets kicked. That is dumb. All right. Wow.
The name for the Notre Dame coach,
Marcus Freeman.
Yep, there you go. We were getting there at some point.
Freeman. That's great. So no, I think that's great history, and it's good to see, especially given how far back college football goes. He'll also be one of the younger coaches too, at 39 years old. So be interesting to see how this plays out.
Damn, man. I'm 39 years old, and I just go to a 9 to 10 to 7 job. This dude's coaching the national championship.
Yeah, man. Yeah, okay.
This sucks.
I mean, LeBron James. I'm same age as LeBron James, and you don't see me doing half of that stuff. So anyway, but
I know.
it's like
well, we hate our lives.
So yeah, excitement in sports, y'all. That's why we're excited to be here with y'all, is because we got the playoffs going on, national championship game. It's gonna be crazy, man. It is going to be absolutely wild. These games coming up are going to be probably the best games of the week, and until we get into the championship games for the NFC and the AFC. Before we jump out of college, who you got?
Oh, for the game?
Yeah, Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. I'm leaning towards Ohio State. Their offense is not to be reckoned with, man.
Their defense is not even supposed to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
God,
they've been running. They've been kind of
on the field.
They've been kind of running through this thing a little bit outside the game against Texas, which they need to go ahead and start the Manning kid at this point. But it's man. I think it's gonna be a good game. Notre Dame definitely can put up a fight too. So we'll see if they can come in and at least make it interesting. I do not want to see a blowout. That's my main concern. I want to see these guys compete to the very last second. So hopefully this is what we get.
Absolutely, man. I think that's going to be it for tonight.
Yeah, man. I think that's all we got. Let me check the
We'll
chat.
get to the NBA at some point, but man, we got some really exciting things coming up.
Yeah, unless a big trade goes down, folks, we won't be talking too much. Before we cut out though, we want to make sure we just give out our prayers to all the folks that are dealing with the fires in Southern California. Although Brooke B does not like Southern California, we know that as a human being, he wants nothing.
It's not what you want to
see. Be okay, and we had our Northern California fires a few years back, so we're hoping that everybody is safe and hopefully folks get the aid and what they need to get themselves back on their feet after losing their homes and their livelihood. So kudos to all the firefighters and folks out there helping, first responders helping out there. All right.
Man, it's not easy. And then the fact they're calling prison inmates in to help with the fires as well. So prayers to Southern California here to get through this. The recovery time's not going to be easy. We just dealt with this last year in Hawaii. The big fires there. So we don't know if this is arson yet, and if it is, man, you gotta look what you've caused.
They better find them.
This is just not.
They better find them. They better find them, and we all get to. Everybody in California gets to walk with one stone in their hand and throw a stone as they walk by.
No, is that another turnover?
What? Wait a minute. What just happened? All right, so Washington Commanders throw a pass. Guy gets tackled. They are reviewing it to see if it was indeed a fumble and the Bucs recovered. Eckler gets hit, and the ball's not out. Ball's not out. Are they trying to say
it's another fourth down for Washington?
Yeah, they got to kick a field goal this time.
I don't know. I think they go for it again.
No, it's not a fumble. All right.
No, but it looks like he took the ball right out of his hands.
Yeah, it's tough to tell, but his knee was down, and
everyone get out of the way.
They're going for it again? Oh my god.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens. I'm not gonna say anything. I'll let you watch it.
God, they're 2 for 4 on fourth down conversions today.
You got it?
Oh, look who it is. Scary Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
This is going to be a good ending. I'm excited for it. I can't wait. We'll go watch it.
Yep. All right. We're going to get back to watching this game. This game is definitely going to go down to the wire. Both teams have now scored, and now we've got ourselves a 3-point game. And, we'll see if Jaden Daniels can cement his spot as Rookie of the Year, because if he wins this game, I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
Amen to that.
All right,
y'all.
Until next time. Peace. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, hit it, goddammit.
Push that button. Doesn't cost anything. Doesn't take much time. Hit the subscribe button. Come on back. We'll be back next Sunday with more games. We'll be covering the championship games Saturday and Sunday. Now, I will preface that B's team is in the divisional round with the Ravens. If that Ravens game happens to fall on Sunday evening, you may have to wait just a little bit.
Right.
All right.